to get. But really, it comes down to the skills, and it's the abilities that end up being the more, the rare, the purples, the commons, or the uncommons.
Do you talk to them a lot? Do you interact with your bridge officer?
A lot of the story is delivered to you, like if you were, right here. There's Sasha talking to you. In Star Trek, you never walk over to the comm and pick up the phone. You're never like looking at what the scanners are. So in Star Trek Online, the majority of the advancement of the story comes through your bridge officers. They're telling you about what's going on. They're telling you what's happening.
Would Sasha say there's something different than Hope? Or if you would have another bridge officer?
The officers do have a sense of voice, but if you're in a story, they're going to pretty much move it along with the same sort of dialogue.
Right. Can you have a crew of hot, talented chicks?
Oh, definitely. I think
Sasha and Hope.
When we beam down, you will get to see Sasha and Hope.
You get different quests. You have different bridge officers. You also have like this is medical quest, so you have to do that, and then you get improve your medical skills. So you have like quests that are fighting quests,
The majority of quests aren't focused on who your bridge officers are. There are a bunch of different sort of missions and episodes that you can go on in the game, but it's not really triggered off of who your bridge crew are. So.
What about space objects like asteroids here? Can you use them for cover, or can you bump into them? Or?
You can definitely use the asteroids for cover, although in this mission Andy doesn't need that at all. You can get behind them. We did play around with, for quite some time, having asteroids do damage. When you actually get near them, you kind of bounce off of them right now, because it wasn't fun to ram into an asteroid by accident and then destroy your ship right as you were about to win. You can end up going ramming speed and slam into other ships. When the warp core goes critical, you see the small explosion, then the big huge explosion. You got to get out of the way before the big huge explosion, because that does damage to all ships nearby. So in PvP, it's awesome when someone thinks they have you and you just no, and you explode right near them. The bridge officers, though, did want to talk a little bit more. It's actually really neat. You very quickly get more bridge officers kind of in your stable, on your crew, than you can activate at one given time. So who you end up activating, what skills they have, how you've invested in them, really kind of defines the role that you're playing at that period of time. Really allows you to do some pretty cool combos and switch up what's going on. Like, I like to have a science officer that has a tachyon beam power that kind of drops enemy shields really quick, and always have a tactical officer a lot like Sasha, who has the photon torpedo salvo, so that after the shields go down, I can just boom and take out that ship almost immediately in an encounter. So a lot of cool options based on who you have on your crew, what they can end up doing.
As a captain, are you a class?
As a captain, you end up choosing a career path, whether or not it is tactical, engineering, or science. But these are really pretty broad categories of skills that you can choose from. It's really a skill-based game. What skills you end up investing in far more define who you are than your career.
So you could switch out what you want to be pretty quickly?
Exactly. I mean, based on the bridge officers that you have and a lot of other things that we're going to show you, your roles really change. Like, let's go down to the ground. Whenever you go down to a ground mission, an away mission is what we call it, you have to pick your away team. When you go down, you always have 5 characters, 5 guys who are going down with you. If you're teamed up with 4 other players, it's going to all be captains. If it's just Andy right now, he's got to pick 4 bridge officers to go down with him. And so this is where, like, who you pick really kind of changes the gameplay that you have. If I team up with Andy, which I do a lot at work, I gotta get like 3 bridge officers to go down with us. Andy's like Leroy Jenkins. He's just gonna run in, he's gonna do the damage, he's gonna take all that damage. I'm gonna have to bring a medical officer to get through combat with Andy. But maybe I team up with an engineer who likes to, make emitters, build turrets, that sort of stuff. And so I can go down and I can be that tactical guy.
What engine is this running on?
This is running on Cryptic's proprietary MMO engine. We've been developing this engine since City of Heroes. It is full graphics game engine, the back-end database, all the boring parts of running an MMO, and it's well over 8 years old now.
So you've updated it since.
Oh yeah, we've constantly been updating it, constantly making it better, constantly adding new features to it. But it is entirely proprietary.
City of Heroes has an entirely different art style. It's pretty stylized.
Sure, yeah, and Champions Online has an entirely different art style than Star Trek Online too. But it kind of goes to prove to you how powerful the engine can be.
And what kind of computers will this be able to run on when it comes out?
We really want to make sure that the game is really accessible. This computer here, it's kind of a high-end system. I think it's got a 9800 and like 4 gigabytes of memory in it, but it's also running the entire shard right here, right now. The computer on my desktop isn't better than this machine, it's actually less, and the graphics do a really good job of scaling down to kind of lower-end systems. So it's definitely not a, oh my god, crisis game, I gotta go out and buy the top-of-the-line system to play this. The art team has done just a fantastic job of being able to deliver this kind of art with the performance that we end up getting.
Yeah, because I was also wondering, you just talked about a lot of spaces, a lot of different planets, and different missions. That must be a hell of a job for your art team, because there are thousands of planets and thousands of spaces. And
How many planets are there?
It's our art team and it's our tech team. Skip ahead in the demo. Exploration, right? Can't make a Star Trek game without doing exploration, boldly going, finding brand new planets. We invested a huge amount of our tech time and our art time in coming up with what we call the Genesis system, which is a series of technology that allow us to algorithmically generate systems, planets, surfaces, interiors that really allow us to make hundreds upon hundreds of planets that are already in the game and systems that you can visit. We expect to add a lot more before the game shifts. We really, really want you to be able to kind of pick a star cluster and boldly go and find a brand new alien race if that's what you feel like doing, if it's not the episodic content.
Is beam down to all those planets?
You can beam down to many, many of the planets, yes. Yeah, hundreds of planets, but not necessarily all of them. You only beam down to a planet if there's actually something to do down there. If you're doing exploration content and there is a planet, 10 to 1 there's something to do down there. So ground combat, I want to make sure before we run out of time we show this stuff off and then show you some cool customized ships. So ground combat, turn around, let's see these guys. This is your away team, right? These are all bridge officers except for poor Mr. Green Red Shirt, Greenhead Red Shirt there. Fully autonomous MMO pets. They'll go into combat, they'll use their weapons, they'll play their role. You can pretty much, fire and forget, they'll go along with you and help you out in combat. If you want to, though, you can use the team window over here and give them pretty specific commands. You can tell them to stay, go, come to you, follow you. You can set targets before you go into an encounter. You can kind of set their combat stance, whether or not they're going to go in aggressively, whether or not they're going to hang back. So really, you can micromanage your team if you feel like it, but then you can kind of, just run in if that's what you're feeling like doing today.
Comparable to the Final Fantasy 12 Gambit system?
I would not go so far as to say it is as complex as the Gambit system. It's a little less. I think it's a little less complex than the Gambit system. That's pretty much a game in and of itself. I think that was Final Fantasy 12. So ground combat in Star Trek Online is fast-paced. It's run and gun. It's moving around. It's about seeing what's going on during combat and taking advantage of openings that the enemy gives you. Where you get your powers from as a captain on the ground comes from multiple different places. To begin with, a captain can equip 2 different weapons on the ground when he beams down, or she beams down in Andy's case here. Andy has a phaser pistol that has a beam and a stun here. He also has a rifle that has kind of a fast bolt as well as kind of an aimed shot too. And he can swap between those as he wants during combat with a button press. One of the other places that you get your powers is from your career choice, where you end up, you're picking your career, whether or not you